Hey, I want to just tell you that I made some bread last night in the bread machine. Now, I'm not a baker, but that's okay. Anyway, meanwhile, back at the ranch. The bread didn't come out quite like I expected it to come out. And anyway, as I said, I'm not a baker. So what I'm going to do is, I've decided I'm going to make these into croutons. Good thing. So I cut off this really hard crust that for some reason happened on the bread machine, and I'm going to take these slices of bread and I'm going to cube them up, and I'm going to put them in a bowl, and I'm going to add a bunch of seasoning. And when I add this seasoning, I'm going to bake it. So let me show you what I'm doing real quick. So I have it already in my pan, and I have a little piece of cutting board right here just because I don't like to pick up all the crumbs when I'm doing stuff. So, but anyway, I cut this, and so I'm just going to cut it in slices. Now I'm going to cut it in little cubes like this. Oops, sorry about that. Like I said, it didn't turn out the way I wanted it, the texture I wanted it. So if it's going to go be kind of dry, we might as well make it into croutons, which these are so good that you could just eat it like popcorn. Unfortunately, that's a bad thing for me, okay? And now I'm going to put them, I have a bowl over here that I'm putting them into. You don't see the bowl, but that's okay. And I'm going to put all these little cubes up in here. And once I get all this cut up, I'm going to season it with a bunch of stuff. Now you can season it with whatever you like. I season it with different things like onion powder and garlic powder, a little bit of Tony seasoning. And you can put olive oil on it to moisten it a bit to make the seasoning stick. But I'm not going to put olive oil on mine. I'm going to go straight up coronary and put butter on it. So I'm going to put this butter in the microwave and let that start microwaving. Sorry, y'all got to see my back. But I'm going to push a button right there. Let that start going. You can see got a whole bowl of this, and all of these extras are about to become chicken food. So I'm going to get over here and grab me a bowl. This is going to become for the chicken. You hear that? That was the crust. Oh, here's a piece I didn't cut. I'm just going to break it up. Anyway, I'm going to put this in here. That's going to become chicken food. All this crumbly scraps, and like I said, I don't like to pick up the crumbs off my cutting board, so I put my little cutter in my baking sheet, and then I cut it up so I can just dump the leftover crumbs into the sink and wash them away, because it will make a mess, you know what I'm saying. Alright, so let's check on our butter and see how our butter's doing. Here's our bowl with all our little pieces in it. Check on our butter. Oh yeah, it's definitely melted. Gonna get this big spoon right here. Gonna take this butter. Whoop! Sorry about that. That's a ding, isn't it? So I'm gonna mix that up because I didn't want to separate, and I'm just gonna start pouring it all over on here like this, and we're just gonna kind of flop it around a little bit. Probably need a second spoon, I think. Kind of get it flopped around, just like you was buttering a bunch of popcorn. Not to worry. Okay, so we're going to get that all kind of mixed up like this, because I'm going to stick this in the oven. That's my oven going off. I preheated it to 400, okay? So that's what you want to do. But you mix this up really good so you can get everything coated in the butter. If you use an olive oil, do about the same thing. Now, how much butter did I use? I used a whole stick. To how much bread did I use? It was about a whole loaf of homemade bread, about there. And I say homemade bread because, like I said, this hoe done made it. So this hoe makes bread. Anyway, so meanwhile, back at the ranch, like I said, now I'm going to put the seasoning on it, and I like garlic powder, so I'm going to kind of sprinkle the garlic powder all on it like this, and I'm going to stir it up. You can use whatever seasonings you want. If you want something that's kind of southwestern, use taco seasoning. Throw that sucker on there. Add a little cumin and a little other things like that. Now I'm going to put some onion powder on it. Never can go wrong with onion powder. And I'm going to stir that up. I know that looks like a lot, but it's really not. It's probably about a tablespoon of onion powder and garlic powder. And I didn't do salt because I'm gonna use some Tony's, and Tony's has salt in it, and I used salted butter. I know that sounds kind of like a lot of salt, but it's really not. Now this is just a little color, some parsley leaves, parsley flakes. If I wanted to make this a little more Italian, I would have used some Italian seasoning, and it would have been just fine. So I'm gonna stir that up. Notice that. Now here comes my Tony's. This is gonna put a little zip into it. You guys know what Tony's does. It does make a little zip zap because it's got some different kinds of seasonings in it, such as the red pepper and a little cayenne pepper. And it does have a little bit of salt. And I'm gonna just put a little sprinkle more Tony's. Go easy on your Tony's if you want. You don't have to use a whole lot, but you can go just easy on it. And that's, well, threw that parsley on the floor, didn't I? And that's it. So now what I'm gonna do, now that it's all mixed up, can you see that? Look how pretty that's looking. You can see it's got the little parsley flakes on it and everything like that. So I'm just gonna pour it in this pan, okay? I'm not greasing this pan or anything like that because I believe that butter is gonna have plenty of grease and it's not gonna stick. So I'm gonna spread it all out in this pan like this so they can all get nice and roasty toasty. I'm gonna toss it in the oven at 400 degrees. Yep. And this bread is little, there we go. This bread's a little crumbly, but it's gonna dry out and it's gonna be just fine. It's gonna make some delicious little croutons, okay? So now that I've got this going on, see that? Kind of looks like potatoes, doesn't it? But it does, but it's not. So once I put that in the oven, I'm gonna leave it in there until it's nice and dried out and crunchy. And you'll need to test it after about 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes. I wouldn't go longer than that in a 400-degree oven. And it's gonna be just fine. So we're gonna stick this in our oven right over here. Okie dokie. 400 degrees. Pop that sucker right up in there. Alrighty. So now all we have to do is wait. Okay, we're gonna get it out of the oven now and see how it looks. Been about 15 minutes in my oven. So like I said, don't go past 20 minutes, but it's been about 15 minutes. Can y'all see that, how golden brown it is? Look at that, and it's got the little crunchies. Now you can flip them over and do it a little bit longer. I didn't flip mine. I figured they would brown all the way through. I'm gonna let these cool a little bit and then they're gonna be crunchy and good to eat. And if you like them a little softer, fine. Just don't leave them in there quite as long. All right, that's how you make these seasoned croutons.